Welcome to the podcast. This is the first episode of She Asks Podcast. So actually, I have here some questions. So this is just an introductory episode of my podcast. This would be my first time doing it, and I'm gonna tell you about what, why did I name it She Asks Podcast, and who, when, and how. So let me start with what. So here we go. She asks because I think it's very normal for us to really ask questions. And in this platform, I would be more like asking questions. Probably we might end up having the same questions. And out of curiosity, and I think I just want to do that here and to, in the future, to reflect on it. And second, because why asking? Because asking actually permits us to have this self-introspection. So if you are familiar with that word, self-introspection is actually about processing your emotions and your thoughts and reflecting how to act on certain things and make decisions. And when you're asking questions, it prompts you to do that, self-introspection. And third, because in the Bible, if you look at the life of Jesus, when he responds, when someone asks him a question, he does not give them the answer. He asks them back. And I keep thinking, what is the reason why he would ask them back? Why just not give them the answer right away? Because like for us humans, I think we're always tempted to just give me the answer. But for Jesus to do that, to really ask question is actually, if you would look at it, he's actually asking us to provoke our thought, to examine our own beliefs and motivations. And I also tend to, when someone asks me, why are you doing that? I'm actually examining why I believe certain things and why do I have this certain motivations. And if you also look deeper, it's also exposing their hypocrisy, like, what is your intention of doing certain things? Our very own hypocrisy. And I try to practice this every night. Like at the end of the day, Lord, what did I do today that please you? What did I do to please others? Because if I'm just pleasing others and not pleasing you, actually that is something that I should change and I could improve on. And here, if we're not even asking ourselves about those questions, we would not even know that we're not actually evaluating and we're not trying to improve ourselves. So, to expose our very own hypocrisy. And third, he always do this parable. It's to teach the lesson. So God is teaching us the lesson just by asking questions. So that's the reason I've been asking myself, as I have this desire of creating my own podcast. But you know what's the hardest part? It's to really, to create the name for it. I know there are millions of podcasts existing out there. And I have been reflecting, how should I name my podcast? That it would reflect what I'm doing here. And it would be saying as a woman, I'm asking question. She Asks Podcast. And I think that's the best name that would reflect what I'm going to do in here. You might have the same questions too, and we will just do this conversation and to reflect all those questions together. And second, we're done with the what, now we're going to the why. So why would I even do it? Why would I even waste my time to do it? Because it takes so much effort, to be intentional in making time to do it, to have the production to do it, to even spend your own money to do it. And so why? Because if we don't know why we're doing certain things, then we're missing the big things. You lack purpose. So here's the thing. I would not be able to answer the why without going back to where I used to be. I just want to share a story about my college experience. So way back in college, we have this group of young people. Well, I'm part of that young people. We are actually from different universities in Davao. And every Saturday, we would gather We would gather in a coffee shop and we would talk about societal issues. We would even debate. We would even have heated debate that, you would think that we were fighting each other, but actually at the end of each study forum, we're just happily talking to each other. And I want to replicate that study forum in here, wherein we could ask question. We could even have disagreements. We might, while I am talking here, or while I am having my guests, you might actually oppose about what they're saying. You might not agree about what they're saying, and that's okay, because we have different set of beliefs, whether we admit it or not. And that is what I want to do here. I want to talk about anything under the sun, things that concern people, things that would provoke thought. And I kind of miss that feeling, or not just a feeling, the experience of actually not just surviving and just, because now that I'm working, I observe that we have that certain routine. And sometimes we don't evaluate things around us. I kind of like would fall into the temptation that, oh, it happens because it's normal. But I don't ask anymore. I don't care if it happens anymore. But right now, I want to be intentional of actually, not just a bystander, not just someone who witnessed things, but to actually question it. And you could join me in that in here. So that is one. I want to replicate the study forum that I have in college. And then second, well, I always have this battle inside me, or you might relate to this one. I have like the use of social media. I'm actually trapped sometimes with doom scrolling, and it's kind of the opposite or counter. Well, it's not really productive. I wouldn't even notice that I'm taking 1 hour spending on social media. And if you're trapped like me, how do I counter that? Well, I could not totally eliminate the use of social media because I'm here in the US and my family is away from me. And the only thing that I could be informed about what are still going on in there is through social media. And that's how we connect. And totally ignoring that is not practical, basically. So we have this virtual world that we cannot ignore anymore. But how do I counter that? I should not just consume. I should also create. So what should I create? And for a long time, I've been wanting to do a podcast. I've been wanting to do it. But, I've just stuck and stuck. But now, I don't want to be stuck with just consuming. I want to be part of the creating team of it, like the social media. I want to make an impact. I want to be influenced. I don't know who would be influenced. Like I was actually afraid to start it. Probably one of my fears is that, someone will not agree about what I'm going to say, but who cares, right? One thing is that I want to use this for his glory. So I want to use this platform to put him in the pedestal. I'm a Christian and I would be proud to say that. And probably that is one of the main reasons why I'm doing this podcasting. So third, to reach out, women in this part of the world trying to find community. So I've just recently moved here in North Carolina. So a year ago, not that long ago, but a year ago. And I know what it's like to not have enough support. Well, no, not exactly that part. I feel like I have experienced this great community who have supported me. And I'm still having a hard time. So I couldn't imagine for those people who don't have support, how would you even survive for a world that's totally different from where you're coming from? And it's through being in a community. And I think I want to reach out those women because we cannot be an island anymore. You cannot be just alone in there because if you're alone, you're an easy prey. you're an easy prey. I don't want those women to be just an easy prey. Hopefully I could, it might not be through me. It might not be exactly me who would be used by God, but if that's me, then I want to use this platform for that, to reach out these women. It doesn't mean that they need me. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be about, I think it's more about trying to reach out and use your talents and gift to serve other people. I think that's what I'm trying to do here. And so that's my why. So to replicate the study forum. Second, to use the social media for your own good by creating. Third, to reach out women, single women particularly. So if you're a single woman trying to find a community, do comment down below, and we'll surely be happy to be, for you to be part of our community here in Charlotte. And then who? So who is this for? These are for those people, as I've mentioned earlier, for those single women. And you might ask, why single women? Because it's always good to be accountable to each other, to a fellow single woman, because you probably would have the same concerns in life. And it's good to be growing together, And let's go for the when first. So we're done with the what, we're done with the why and the who. Now we'll go for when. So I actually have the desire to have my own podcast 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, something happened to the world which impact all of us. And that, if you know, it's the pandemic. Well, that is 5 years ago. And that's the time also we're in podcasting. Well, we used to just have podcasting. Right now, video podcasting has been the trend. But it used to be just podcasting, to be listening. And it helps my mental health before. Because when you're stuck in a room and you just want to do something, you feel like you want to be productive, but you cannot go out. You cannot get resources. And so I kind of have this desire to, I just want to have my own podcast. But that would be impractical if I do that 5 years ago, wherein I don't have the resources. Well, 5 years ago, the only thing that's in our mind is to survive. And that is, we would buy the necessities. And buying equipment is not part of that necessity. So basically, I would not go for podcasting. I just don't have the resources to create that. And one of my inspiration why I'm doing this is because I used to listen to Joy Spring. So I've been a fan of her since 5 years ago. I've learned a lot through podcasting because, we don't learn everything in the university, and most of the practical skills that we need in life are not taught in the university. You probably learn about math, how to do your job right now, but the practical skills like cooking, well, I don't like to cook, meal prepping, budgeting, and how to do your groceries, how to schedule, those are things that I've learned through podcasting and those practical skills. And I've realized I want to teach people about what I'm learning too, and that's through podcasting. But again, I don't have the resources, so I've just put that thought on hold, and I've told myself I'm gonna do it someday. And now go back to June 2024. I was able to buy some equipment, but then you know what? When you were just like, oh, I'm just gonna start doing it, I'm very motivated to actually do it. But then, suddenly I've lost interest. It's not that I totally lost interest about doing it. I've just got so overwhelmed because the behind the scenes is not a joke. Like setting a camera, I'm not good with cameras. Trying to buy the right equipment. Well, I have the equipment, thankfully, but I just don't know how to operate it. I have no idea. I know what I want to do, but I have no idea how to do it. It's crazy. For those who are making content, it's not easy, you guys. When I entered it, I thought it's gonna be easy and I have so much motivation, not until I start doing it. And I got so discouraged. And I feel like I started to doubt myself. I feel like, well, I've started to think that I'm not so good with speaking. What if I create some mistakes? What if I've been like having this thoughts in my mind, and your greatest enemy or your greatest critic is yourself. And I am the greatest critic of myself. And I was like, well, I have to even talk about it and say, you know what? Why are you doing it in the first place? What's the purpose? Is it because you want to impress others? If that is not your purpose, then why would you care about what others are thinking? So I kind of like, okay, I I have to be ready and like saying and be accepting that when I put this out there, people will judge me and people will have something to say. And since that is not my purpose, I will be okay with that. That I will be ready if this one goes out. And if people think that this material is not relatable, that's fine. And I feel like there's so much pressure about creating as well because there's a battle inside. And I have that battle first before, going through it. And what did I do? I've just transferred school last August. I've changed schools and like the positions, and then things happened. So I was like so busy trying to learn about this new skills that I have to do in this job. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should postpone again podcasting because one of the rules that I have when I'm working, I'm not gonna do two things that are new to me at the same time because if I do it at the same time, then one or another, I'm gonna fail the other one because I will not be able to focus. So I don't want to fail my job. So I said, okay, we're just gonna relax. I'm just gonna give it some time. But then I'm always waiting about the perfect time. I'm always waiting about, okay, let me just learn about this. Let me just do it perfectly. How do I operate the camera? How do I edit? While exploring, I get overwhelmed. And you guys, I realized there's really no perfect time to start. There's no really perfect time to start. And it took me so much time to realize that. And also, if you really want to start, you should start telling your friends and your mentors and your accountabilities because they will push you to just do it. Because I start telling my discipler that, oh, I'm planning to have a podcast. I started telling my the D group that I have. It's like a discipleship group that I have, and they were so excited about it, and they're actually are the one who pushed me through this. And they were, tell someone who could encourage you because we need that encourager if you're starting somewhere, something. And just by telling someone, tell someone who would like remind you, oh, you said you're gonna start a podcast. So when are you gonna do it? Someone who would actually remind you about what you're trying to do. So at the Jajo, it's actually my discipler would ask me, oh, Steph, when are we going to have our episode? And I was like, wait, I really need to do this because if I'm not gonna do it, you know what? The first person who you're gonna fail is yourself. Because you would create the habit of just saying it, but not really implementing it. And that's the sad thing because if you're just saying things and not implementing it, when you're faced with another bigger task, it's most likely you would just back down and would not do it because you've done it in the past and it would be a habit that would be hard to overcome. And I was like, I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be just saying things and not implementing it. So even if I don't have the skills, I don't have what it takes, I've told myself I'm just going to learn as I go. And I think that's the best start, Just start with your own set of skills right now. Just don't wait for it to be perfect because I have the tendency to be, let it be perfect, like the trap of perfectionism. And there's no perfect. I told myself, let's be 1% better each day, 1% better each day. And so now we're here, everyone. Thank you for being in this space. And if you're listening and about to finish this podcast, thank you, thank you. And again, if you're trying to find, oh, one thing, the how. I forgot the how. So in this part of the learning process, I want to thank Matthew's Aesthetics for actually, he's one of the person, it's one thing when people just say, come on, do it. But it's a different thing when people try to do it with you and really help you. Because it would really push you, because some people would just, oh, do it. But if they're not helping you and like really be there and really teach you how to do it, then it's just gonna be in the wind, like words in the wind. It doesn't mean so much. And I have like my friend Sumita. If she's listening right now, she's one of the person who would always say, Steph, just do it. Just do it. Like every time I would say, Sumita, I really want to start my podcast. And she's just an encourager. Thank you for being that encourager. We need that one friend who would be an encourager to everything we do and would be the first one to believe us. And again, if you're still listening, we have a discipleship group. And if you're here in Charlotte, please comment down below. I'm going to give you all the details for that. And that is the introduction of my first podcast. We did it, everyone. Happy listening. Bye.